Hello and welcome. I'm Terry Murphy.
And I'm Alan Frio. Good evening. It started out as full-bloom romance, but when the lady...
That's next.
And a little...
Shot down by an unidentified wrench in the works. Now he says he knows the problem, an unidentified flying object. Our Doug Bruckner has the story.
All his life, Bob Dean has been in the business of saving people's lives. First as a career soldier, and for the past 15 years or so, protecting his neighbors in Tucson, Arizona. Bob's one of the top workers in the city's emergency management service. He deals with natural and man-made disasters, mopping up hazardous waste spills, responding to tragedies, like the day there was a toxic blast down the tracks at the chemical plant there.
We're standing on the location of what turned out to be one of our worst chemical accidents here in Tucson. The plant employees were coming out with tears, coughing, gasping, wheezing, because a lot of them had been affected by this toxic gas, and most of them were evacuated and taken to the hospital.
Last year, all those years of service seemed ready to pay off in a big way. Bob was just a couple of years past 60 when he found himself in line for the promotion of a lifetime, a chance to be boss, to run the emergency management department.
They selected 3 finalists. A very good friend of mine who works up in Phoenix ended up #1 on the list. They offered her the position and she turned them down.
Bob was next up, and in the end, he was the only man for the job. He knew it, everybody else knew it. All he needed was for Sheriff Clarence Dupnick to make it official. But days passed, and Bob Dean never got the word he was waiting for, so he called the sheriff, and he was told a final decision had not been made.
And I said, I've been a team player, I've played by the rules, I expect at least to have the opportunity to show you that I can do the job.
Bob figured the reason was sex. He knew the first choice would have to be a woman, so Bob filed a grievance against the county. Still no job. Bob's lawyer came up with another theory, age discrimination. At 62, perhaps the sheriff thought Bob too old.
I thought, well, it's possibly that's my age. I was a little sensitive, and I thought, well, you know, I feel pretty professional. I'm probably at my peak intellectually. And I deserved at least a chance to show them I could do that job. So I filed an age discrimination charge.
But after months of questions and depositions, Bob found the truth about why he didn't get his promotion. And it had nothing to do with his sex or his age. No, it had something to do with all those years of public service, and something to do with that picture behind Bob on the wall there. That's a picture of a place called Finger Rock outside Tucson. A lot of people believe UFOs have landed there, and Bob is one of those believers. And in a deposition taken from Sheriff Clarence Dupnick, the sheriff revealed the real reason why Bob wasn't made boss.
The sheriff stated, and this, what I'm reading you, is as much of the quote as I can get. Here is a person, the sheriff referring to Mr. Dean, here is a person who, in my opinion, has an unusual belief. I am not saying a person can't believe whatever they want to believe, and there are a whole lot of well-thought-of people, scientists included, who happen to believe in UFOs. I don't happen to be one of those people, and in my judgment, I am not saying it detracts, but it's just something I wouldn't want our organization to be identified with for a variety of reasons.
It was shocking to me, surprising to me, but in that deposition, the sheriff, a man who I respect, admire, and have worked for a number of years, stated that the primary reason that he was not giving me the position was that I'm involved with UFOs, you know.
It all goes back to the Cold War, the days when Russia was a feared enemy, when people worried about World War III. Bob was an Army Staff Sergeant assigned to the NATO Military Command in France. It was during this time that Sergeant Dean received ultra-top-secret clearance, codenamed Cosmic.
And I had access to material, documents, information. And I learned firsthand that this is a real phenomenon here.
And in 1964, he got hold of a top-secret study, a study about unidentified flying objects. Bob says there were photographs, documents of sightings, evidence that some strange visitors were causing blips on radar screens that the Cold Warriors thought was the enemy. The study, Bob remembers, concluded that the Earth was being visited regularly by aliens. Aliens with such advanced levels of technology as to make U.S. and Soviet defenses useless. Bob's career went on unaffected, but in his spare time, he continued learning as much as he could about UFOs. He became something of a local expert, but he never dreamed it would cost him a job. Sheriff Bill Dupnick didn't want to talk. Meanwhile, we went with Bob Dean to Finger Rock, the place in that picture in his living room. Bob Dean wasn't afraid to talk about what he's learned over the years.
I think that there's an unenlightened public out there that has a right to know. They have a right to understand that something has been going on. And it's so exciting, and it's so important, and frankly, in my own personal view, it's beautiful. The beauty of the idea that we are not alone.
For now, it'll be up to the courts, with Bob Dean the center of this planet's first UFO discrimination case.
And who said UFOs are harmless?
Exactly.